Hey, welcome. Hey, guys, welcome to the stream tonight. Advocates for Justice for Foreclosure Defense Paralegal School. I provide the tools, you do the work. Welcome to tonight's stream. And tonight we're going to have some fun. Tonight we're going to do update on my sister's judicial foreclosure that I've been working on. We added a little more to it than we did in the video. So we did a video here a few days ago on it, but we added a little more to it. We got more information. So we're going to be doing that. And you guys, some of you guys know that, hey, buddy, hey, consultant, what's up, buddy? Some of you guys know that I have been using my sister's case to figure out what strategies that we need to use or change or whatever, since I pretty much have total control over it. And my sister gets the stuff filed to ASAP. So the team working out really well. And that allows me to figure out what we need to be doing. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're going to make a couple of changes and we're going to talk about them in a little while. We're also going to review the new strategy that everyone should be using to trump state court jurisdiction. Yeah, that's what we're trumping it. And we're going to review the attorney's response to my notice of removal document that we filed. So the attorney responded to it, and it's pretty funny. We're going to get to that. His response looks a little desperate and lacking, but we're going to get to that. But before we get to all of the hot stuff, I want you guys to take a minute to subscribe down there or over there, wherever that thing is, and subscribe and click the like button. Click the like button. If you appreciate what we got going on, click that like button and ring the bell so that you get notifications when I upload a video or when it's time to rock and roll. And least but not last, leave a comment. Leave a comment. If it's just, hey, coach, leave a comment, because that lets the algorithm know that you guys find value in what I'm doing. So let's just get right into it. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of my sister has a judicial foreclosure, illegal judicial foreclosure, like, because they're all illegal, because the statute that they use for the judicial foreclosure or for any other foreclosures is not considered a valid law because it's missing the enacting clause, the title, and the body. The three things that your state constitution mandates must be present for something to be a law. And I throw that on the table a lot, but I haven't had one person say, yeah, coach, I stuck that in their face. So I'm going to keep throwing it on the table until I hear that. So you want to, what we did when the judge stepped in to help the attorneys, I'm just going to keep it short, this part of it short, because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. When the judge stepped in to help the attorneys a year and a few months later, we objected, and then we filed for reconsideration. And then we filed a lawsuit against the judge for taking jurisdiction without legal authority and for violating the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946 and for violating the Foreign Aid and Restoration Act of 1938 and some other stuff. So it was kind of long and some other stuff. So, and then once we filed that, then we recused the judge. And when you do that, that poses a problem for their system, because now their vessel is floating around in admiralty jurisdiction without a motor. Because without a judge, there's no motor. The case cannot go any place without a judge. And in my sister's case, it was terminated. Like 2 days after we filed the claim and the judge was served. We also included the State Bar Association and the attorney and the attorney's wife, because we claimed the attorney's home as damages. So we had to serve his wife at their house too, because her name was on the property. He was really freaking mad about that. But you can tell that we really care. So that's what we did. The case was terminated, and then my sister dropped her lawsuit, against my advice. Okay, I'm just saying. But she's nice, and that's what she thought was a good thing to do, and she did. And then 9 months later, they came back for some more punches. And basically, what they did when they came back is just it. We don't know what they have a fake sale order. We were never even having an opportunity to oppose the sale order. Yeah, they was pretty mad. They was pretty mad, and they had a video conference, and I told my sister they're going to probably want to know who's helping her. And so she was already, they were yelling at her. They wanted to know who was helping her or who was in charge of her legal team. And she told them God. Yeah, that shut their butts up real fast. They did not want to talk about God up in there. No, they shut up real quick. So what we put together here, and if you guys invested in one of my if you got, all my packages have a document, notice of removal document, and all you have to do is add the rules, the court rules for your state to that. Okay. Now remember, we're not moving the stuff based off of their statute, because we already know their statute is a piece of crap. So we're not going to worry about that. Okay, they can argue or whine about that, which is what the attorney did. He whined about it. We improperly moved it. Well, wait a minute. So they can follow the statutes until it's convenient for them to not follow statutes and follow the rules and try to, but don't let us follow do the same thing to them. Well, we're doing it, and they can't do anything about it. So what we done is we just moved their case. And if you read the rules, it's very liberal. You can move their case. You can move a case to federal court anytime. If you ask me, it was should be a safety valve for what we're facing now. And that's the reason why we moved it. And the reason why we move it, if you're in my program, is because the other state court judges have conflict. So if you're suing one state court judge, his buddy that he plays golf with can't run the show. Are you kidding me? So that's the reason why. But if you're not in my program, well, the 7 pages in the jurisdictional challenge, the jurisdiction challenge, or the jurisdiction challenge / lawsuit package, all of those reasons are reasons why the case should be moved. Now, I have people always get so wrapped up in case law and want to whatever and worried about them making you look stupid. Okay, newsflash, your butt already looks stupid because they're taking your stuff and you haven't freaking done anything. So people tell me that, I just almost start laughing. Okay, you got to be kidding me right now. So we need to do this process to get control of the state court case. And the way it's set up, you take the removal document, you attach the copy of the original, the attorney's original foreclosure lawsuit to it as an exhibit, and you file it in federal court. And once they file stamp that, state court does not have jurisdiction over the case and can't do crap. And I'm going to show you later, when we get down to it, the attorney's response to that process. They were saying, oh yeah, they're going to sell. Well, we'll see. See, our process, what we do here is we attack the process, not worry about what they said, the lies. Okay, we don't worry about the lies that they said. We attack the process. And when you attack their process, it puts you in a little bit of a different position, because their process is really crappy and violates our constitutional rights all over the freaking place. So what we did is, we're going to, now that we got their case, their foreclosure case moved over to federal court, we're in the process of moving her $20 million lawsuit, the second one that she filed, over to federal court also. And we're also in the process of letting federal court know that we have not filled out their their uh, their form to give the magistrate judge consent to hear our case. So please don't send our case to the magistrate judge's desk, because that's going to be a problem. Yeah. So her legal team, my sister's legal team, knows some stuff. Oh no, no, it's not me. I hide in the bushes. But I know the way I do things. I like to let them know. Like in my sister's case, we started our verbal harassment campaign, and we've been like jacking with the attorney, letting him know that that we're going to move our lawsuit over and connect it with the case, and we let him know we're going to do that. Then he filed his little fancy stuff at the bottom, telling the federal court needs to stop us from violating the law and need to block us from moving any other stuff over. Oh wait, it's too late. It got moved over the very next day. So yeah, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So we got it moved over. I like to tell them this is what we're going to do. We also let the attorneys know in one of the emails that we would consider a settlement if they wanted to sit down and talk, but we would not even be able to start the conversation until they remove my sister's property deed from their office and delete it from their database and deliver it to her as mandated by the state constitution. Once they did that, we could talk about the rest. Now, the last time we went through this, my sister was willing to obviously to let it sit, but she's a little pissed off now. So that $20 million is not coming off the table. I just need to have so one of the things that we demanded in our offer for settlement was that they provide compensation for the legal team in the amount that they were going to charge for stealing my sister's property. I think that's fair. And I think they need to come up with that before they pay my sister $20 million. Oh, hey, Edith, welcome to the show tonight. So I'm just saying, I'm gonna have to stipulate that in the contract too, so they can just hook me up before they start scrounging around trying to get my sister's $20 million. No, really, I want them to pay her first, because she suffered a whole lot more than me. As you can tell, I'm having a lot of fun with this. And she's not so much. So I think they should pay her first. But I was just thinking, that was just my ADD, thinking out loud. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. Welcome to the show. Got a couple of people tonight. Oh, the last thing that I wanted to let you guys know too, and this is one of the things attorneys chewing on now, is we filed her motion for summary judgment in federal court because the attorneys failed to answer. They failed to answer, and my sister filed her second lawsuit against the judge and all of them again and paid, and she filed it in state court, and they just ignored it. Yep. So we don't have to answer none of your stuff. And I'm sure they had their little game plan to rush to sell and do whatever, but I for the life of me can't figure out how that would have worked for them, because the state of Kansas has a redemption period. That means that we have a year to smack them in the face to get our property back, even if they did sell it. So it's I don't know how they was going to do that. I think they're just so used to stomping everybody in the face and getting away with everything that they don't know what to do when someone hands them their butt on a paper plate. Crypto, huh? Yeah, we had gold bar with gold bars in ours. I think the cryptos are a lot lighter. I'm not hiring me a crew to move the gold bars. Okay, that's a good idea. That's a little more manageable than the gold bars, but we can work it out. That's funny. So we're going to look at what the attorney filed in opposition to my sister's notice of removal. So let me do a screen share here. Okay, so let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Oops, that's too big. This is the motion that the attorney filed to squash us and send us back to state court. Well, wait a minute. The attorney shouldn't have filed in state court in the first place because he's a foreign agent. And as a foreign agent, you can't sue someone in state court from in another state in state court. So a foreign agent can't go to state court and sue something. That's not the way that's supposed to work. So we won't even get started on how many problems that they have right here, and and they're acting as a third party debt collector because they're the only one that signed. Interesting, huh? So you guys can see here the attorney. Well, first off, he called it this is a residential foreclosure. Well, it's not a residential foreclosure lawsuit. It's a illegal foreclosure lawsuit against private property. Okay, because they took your property after they commandeered your deed. They registered your property and then they reclassified in one of their three commercial classifications: residential, agricultural, or industrial, for the sole purpose of taxation, to get around the fact that the Constitution mandates that they're not supposed to tax private property, not once, but in two places it states that. And then he says here that we answered. Well, we don't answer these fools around here. We responded with our jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit, and obviously they weren't able to respond. My sister completed the passport process, and so we filed her passport and her United States affidavit of state citizenship document that I structured for her to verify that she is a state citizen. And we didn't find out till almost a year later that the state court took it and sealed it. Yeah, so in our last document, we were demanding that the state court unseal it and send it over to federal court. So the federal court can see that state court has no jurisdiction over a state citizen without an injured party. Without an injured party, the court statutory rules do not apply. End of the story. So now you can see why some of the stuff we do set us up to do these things. I have people that want to cut corners and do things different. That's fine. You do whatever you want. But keep in mind, if you do it different, you can't come back whining later and say, I did everything you said. And I had a few people who do that, and I had no problem telling you, no, you didn't. You know, most people leave the step out of suing the state court judge. They rush over to federal court. They don't get that shut down. And then when they get to federal court, they make a phone call back and forth and they stall your butt, make you run around until you're facing an eviction process. That's how it goes. And the attorney filed down here that this was untimely and improperly filed. So you need to understand that their statute states that you only have 30 days to file a removal. And I don't know, all this stuff. Well, anytime you sue the judge on state court level, you're gonna have to remove it. Anytime there's jurisdiction issue and they're trying to explain it, so we don't follow the statutes. I have people arguing with me on that. You need to go look at the rules. Okay, we're following the court rules. The court rules run over these statutes. These statutes are non-valid laws, and I don't even want to hear it. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Follow the rules, the court rules, the federal rules of civil procedure. And he's asking here the court must immediately remand this case and deny the defendant the right to file any future removals to prevent the defendants from continually and unlawfully interacting with the state cell ordered by the state court judge. So the state court judge that he's saying ordered to sell is the same judge that we're suing. So I can't understand how that how he thinks that this is still gonna work out for him. But they said I was delusional for a real long time too, 33 months. So I think he's delusional. What he's saying don't make no sense. He hasn't put forth in here one reason why they should remand us and send us back. He hasn't addressed one dispute that we put in the document for the reason why we're moving it. He didn't talk about any of that. So this looks a little desperate to me. So I don't know about you guys, but it looks a little desperate to me. So what we did was we moved for summary judgment because we moved the $20 million lawsuit over the day before yesterday. And then we moved also at the same day for summary judgment because they didn't respond to the lawsuit. And we attached a copy of the docket sheet to verify that they hadn't responded to the lawsuit to date. And I was going to move to strike his stuff here because he signed it. And he's in federal court now. So he needs to have a federal attorney. He can't sign his own stuff and get away with the crap that he was getting away with in state court. Now you guys can see the power that you get when you do this process. It's almost like, now I'm not going to sit here and tell you that federal court ain't dirty too, but when you spank these people over here like this, I don't really think they're going to want. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Right now, the sale order was supposed to set for the 18th or the 17th or the 18th, one of those two. And we have the restraining order that's included in the notice of removal package. We have the restraining order. Actually, I restructured it specifically for this situation. And all you have to do is attach the sale order or the eviction notice, whatever you have to show that you're about to be injured. You want to attach to it as evidence, and you file it in federal court. So in federal court, the judge don't have to hear, when you file a restraining order injunction, the judge don't have to hear the other party. They can look at it and they can make a determination whether or not you're going to be injured or not and go ahead and grant it or whatever. So you might want to remember that when you're talking to your clerk, demanding that the judge grant your restraining order, that your legal team said that no one has to respond to it. The judge can look at the evidence that's presented before them and make the determination without waiting days and days for the other side to respond, because that's the whole idea behind the emergency restraining order in the first place. So you guys can see that they didn't respond worth crap here. So now, while I got this open, yeah, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share. Talk a little bit more. With some other thing closed up here. So now we're going to talk about how to make changes to the notice of removal that you have. What you must do is Google the court rules for moving a state case to federal court. Remember, court rules, not the statute or law. You want to look up the court rules for moving and don't pay no mind to the statute, because if you run across a statute, it's going to say a bunch of blah 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 blah, and none of that stuff is true. So just do what I'm telling you here, and you'll get it worked out. So Google the court rules for moving a state case to federal court. And you must add a copy of the original petition, like I mentioned a second ago. You also want to copy and paste that rule on the front page of your notice of removal, because you're going to need to have that on there to let them know you know what's up. If they know you know the difference between the rule and the statute, then they're not going to give you as much crap trying to persuade you that you can't file it. Now, what they did with my sister was we tried to file it in Topeka, and my sister decided told them she wanted to file it in Topeka, and they convinced her that she needed to file that kind of case in the Kansas City court. So the difference is the Topeka court's 22 miles away, one way, and the Kansas City court is 56 miles one way. So obviously the clerk is like throwing her under the bus. But we did a notice of removal again. They wanted us to file a motion and have the judge. And I started laughing. I said, "You got to be kidding me. The judge doesn't have any say in administrative issues like that. You got to be kidding me." So we filed the same notice of removal on them to move it back over to where it should be, to where we wanted to be in the first place. And you want to add a copy of the original petition, a copy of the sale order, any copies of the eviction process to prove that you're going to be injured if the court fails to grant your stuff. Correct. There you go, guys. Backed up by the consultant. Thanks, buddy. We've been trained to follow their BS because they structured the BS for us to follow. So we don't really want to follow their BS. We want to follow the court rules. The rules are what they're supposed to be following too, but they don't. You also want to add copies of the eviction process, anything like that you can add to show that you're going to be injured. And we've been verbally harassing the attorneys via emails. And it's really cool because I can send the email over to my sister, what she should send over to them, and then she just copy and paste it and send it over to them. Yeah. I always want to make sure the homeowner is the one in charge and running the show, because it's your shit. It's you guys are the ones putting the work in, and you should be the ones that get the credit for making them go sit the hell down and leave you the hell alone. So, and that's how we do that. So she's enjoying that. And, with that said, obviously I'm doing a little more work helping her than I do most people because she's my sister. So there you go. So you guys need to let them know that you'd be willing to settle. I always throw that on the table. You always want to give them a back door. You want to give them a back door all the time. And I tell them, we'd consider settling if they delivered. You should tell them you would consider settling if they delivered your property deed as mandated by the state law, remove your property information from the state's computer system, pay the legal fees and the amount the attorneys were going to charge the homeowner for the illegal foreclosure process. And, well, as far as my sister goes, they're going to, the $20 million is not coming off the table this time. So she's not happy about what they're doing. And, especially after she already stopped them. She stopped them once. They terminated the case. and termination is a final judgment. So you can't come back and start up a case again based off of the stuff that was terminated in the first place. You can't start a case again that's been terminated without requesting leave of court. And if I remember correct, the parties have to agree to it, or someone obviously would object to it. But that's how you do that. You have to quit. You can't just come in and do some shady stuff and then think that everything's going to work out. Well, that's usually what they do, but it's not working out so well for them right now. And since the attorney is answering us in federal court now, we're the ones in charge and he's answering to us. And that's the way we like it. And I don't think they're going to have the sale since they're answering to us in federal court. And the Sheriff's Department and all of the agencies involved have been receiving documents that we've been filing in their face. So, and at the end of the day, and this is what I tell people, at the end of the day, the most important thing is not blocking the sale. And when I say that, people look at me like I'm stinking crazy. The most important thing is not blocking the sale. The most important thing is making sure that you have a strategy in place to block the eviction process. Because here's the thing, if they can have the sale and you can block the sale with your stuff and keep fighting and move forward. And when you do that, they're going to stall. And if you don't have an eviction, if you don't have a game plan to block the eviction process, they're going to stall your butt right to the 10-day eviction. That's how they do it. Now, I work with a lot of people from all over the United States and a couple of Facebook private groups that we have, and we get to see everything that they try. So the attorney failed to address any reasons that it was untimely and improper. Well, it was untimely for him and improper for him also, because the federal court accepted it, and so it wasn't improper. So I don't know what that dude's problem is. We offered him, okay, so here's the thing, okay? We're not even going to waste the time to remand, to move to strike his BS to remand. We're going to file a judicial notice letting the federal court know that the attorney signed the documents himself, and the attorney can't represent himself in court. He can't litigate cases party to. He can't represent himself in court. And the court rules will not allow a corporation to represent a corporation pro se. So, and this is one of the things that we mentioned in our email harassment. We've been letting the attorney know that we'd like him to provide us his information, the contact information for his federal attorney. Now, the foreclosure attorney emailed my sister and let her know that he couldn't communicate with her no more one-on-one personally, because it would be against the attorney's ethical conducts of conduction. Oh yeah, it was pretty funny. Okay, so all of a sudden he's worried about the conduct of the attorney's yeah, are you kidding me? All these, yeah. So that's the same thing we sent back to the attorney. We just copy and pasted the stuff out of his email and made a new email and sent it back to him, letting him know that we couldn't communicate with him anymore because of the attorney's ethics and conduct of whatever, and that he needed to provide us with information, with the contact information for his federal attorneys. Yeah, we have a sanction that we put in there to consultant. I think it's for $3.5 million. We're going to be moving it. Well, we thought we'd just wait and see how this works out with we're throwing pass in the end zone right now. Yeah, so we filed a summary judgment, and to get past the summary judgment, you got to put some stuff on the table. Well, these people in state court were so sloppy, they never filed any affidavit. Usually they file this fake affidavit that they reviewed the record. So you're being sued by the record, which is fake too, but they didn't even file that. So there's no affidavit. So that means that the court don't have jurisdiction because there's no injured party. There's no affidavit even from the attorney who signed to start the foreclosure. Yeah, that's that. They really, and we picked their stuff apart. So that's the biggest problem, one of the problems that they have. But we're not really worried about the attorney stuff that's to move it back to state court because we got so much stuff on the table. And when they look at the lawsuit, the attorney didn't mention in his document that that the judge was that we filed a lawsuit against the judge twice. So he left all of that out. I don't know. He must have dementia. So now the federal court's going to get a chance to see what's really going on. Actually, all they got to do is look at the docket sheet. It shows right on the docket sheet everything and that's what we've been using, the docket sheet, instead of trying to get all these motions and line them. The docket sheet shows everything. So what I was thinking was maybe the feds can get this an attorney to help him make a deal with my sister. Because in federal court, they are not trying to have no damn trial. I can tell you that right now. They are not having no trial in federal court. It ain't happening. They're not having no trial. And their goal is to make your butt sit down and settle. And so we told them, I'm sure my sister might settle for a little bit less than the 20 million. So you guys see I'm having fun with this. I'm having more fun with this than she is, but she's still in her house almost 2 years down the road, and they don't look like they're going to be getting anything done here in the next couple of days either. So I don't know. We'll see. But we got a plan. Everybody's been put on notice. All of the third parties that do the sale, the sheriff, all of their risk departments have been served. Well, we didn't really serve them. We made them sign for the documentation to verify that they received it. So they can't stick their head in the mud. So once you get their case moved over to federal court, the benefits of moving their case over to federal court. Okay, so I stopped at E. I went from A to E, and we stopped at E. But we could go on. We could go on for like a while with this. But we just going to talk about the first, few. So the first benefit is stopping in state court's jurisdiction, trumping state court's jurisdiction. That's the first benefit. Second benefit would be blocking the eviction process. Because if you block the state court's jurisdiction, you block the eviction process also. And force the attorneys to hire federal attorneys. So now you're costing them money. And that's what this is about. This is about attacking their process and costing them money. This is not about filing something and waiting for the judge to rule on your favor and all of that. Because that crap don't happen. Maybe it happens somewhere, but I don't see it happen in what we're doing. So you don't want to go down that road. You want to stay in the ring and keep punching while you're building your record, getting your evidence on the court record to use. At the end of the day, the 42 USC 1983, the lawsuit package that I put together, that package people can use, and I put a link at the top of this in the beginning of the feed of the stream. Put a link to that package. That package can be used to go after them for the foreclosure, addressing all of the due process violations they did to you. So that package is put together to go after them for what they did to you in court. Costing federal court time and money is another benefit, because they don't like that. They have to get these cases through at a time. I don't know what the time frame is. I'd like to. I don't know what the time frame is. They have to get those cases moved through in federal court, and they have the same problem in state court too. They have to get the time. They have to get the case moved through at a certain time frame. Otherwise, it clogs up stuff, and they don't get to take people's stuff because you're in the way. So we just go in, just take our time. We ain't going nowhere until they stop messing with you and get out your face. That's how we do that. And then the last thing that I want as a benefit E is you force them to answer to you. We got this fool answering to us now, and he was trying his best to avoid, and just as long as we stayed on in the state court level, they had their little plan and they were working it, but we ain't having it. um, I don't know who told you that, Lori, but that doesn't make any sense. The redemption period is a period of time that the law allows you to get your property back before the other people take over and you're booted out the door. So I'm pretty sure when and sometimes their state laws, their state statutes are structured to read to make people think that something is not something. But I haven't looked up the redemption period for Wisconsin myself personally, but I can pretty much guarantee you that I don't think that this is true. So this wouldn't make any sense. They can't have the period before the sale. Well, they may do it because they do a lot of shady stuff, but that doesn't mean that it's legal and people have to put up with it. So that's all I got to say on that. So one of the things we want to talk about is the reasons to move the case to federal court. Now, I've had a couple of people do that, and then they, wasn't sure, which kind of bothered me because you should know this. Everything that we're doing here is we're challenging the court's jurisdiction or lack thereof. So the number one reason for moving it would be, there's no injured party, so state court don't have jurisdiction. State court lacks jurisdiction because there's no injured party. Okay, that's the main. So the foreclosure statute is not a valid law. So that makes the foreclosure unconstitutional. Jurisdiction was never proven on the court record in the state court. And that's the problem and the reason that you have the dispute right now. And the state court judge was recused, and the state court judge was sued. I love the way that sounds. And the attorneys violated federal law in illegal deed fraud scheme. So those would all be reasons why, and if you have the jurisdiction challenge with an affidavit, the jurisdiction challenge / lawsuit with an affidavit, any of those documents, I would use all of the information in those documents as reasons for moving your case. And if you don't have those documents, then the stuff that I just named off here will be the reasons why. And remember, it's not up to you to prove anything. You don't have to prove all of this stuff. You just have to show that it's a problem. Well, if you've done your job, you can use the court record as your as your evidence. And that's the way we have it set up. Now, I think everyone facing foreclosure in state court should move their case over to federal court. I think it should be something that we're doing right off the bat. So it should be something that we're doing right out of the gate, because we don't have to. What we've been doing is waiting and doing this and doing that. We don't need to do all that. We need to use the dirt that we have in the documents to stick in there and get the case moved over right away and mess them up. And I don't know, consultant, maybe you can tell me with this. If we move their state foreclosure over to federal court, will federal court, they have state court case law in them, and I don't think state court case law fly in federal court. I don't know how they do that. I have no idea how they do that. But what I do know is that the documents that you get from me have federal case law in them already, so it's not going to be a problem for you. I would think theoretically you could win over all your arguments because you have federal case law and they don't, but it creates a little bit of a problem for them. So I don't know if that would work, if federal court would just go uh, by the case law and just rule on it. But what I do know is that we're not sitting around for anybody to rule on anything. We're going to keep smashing them in the face and messing. And now we're going to let them know that we're not having the magistrate judge in our face. We haven't signed the consent form. Magistrate judge has no right to be involved in your stuff without your written consent. And they get away with that all the time because people don't know what to do or do anything about that. But we're not. So we're going to let them know right up front that we're not going to have that. So I placed a link to a couple of the packages at the top of the stream that you guys might want to check out. I have a new playlist called Moving Estate Case Over to Federal Court. And in that playlist, I'm going to post the video updates to my sister's case. So there are going to be several updates. I'm going to post an update how to respond to the summary judgment and so forth. So the updates to my sister's case will be in that Move the State Case Over to Federal Court playlist. So if you want to keep up with that, you're going to have to check that out. Now, we've been learning some new stuff from members all across the United States of America. I get phone calls from people from all over the place. And boy, I tell you what, some people have been doing some homework up in here. So some of the things that we've learned, we're going to go over them right before we wrap this up. Some of the things that we've learned is, well, one member done some research and found that the new buyer was a shell corporation that was structured a month before the foreclosure. And the shell corporation was owned by the state. And this backs up something that I said, a few 4 or 5 months ago, that in my opinion, the state is the one that's orchestrating these foreclosures and doing all this stuff and stealing your property. Hell, they already got your stinking property deed. They just need to get your butt out of their way. They need to get you out of their house. So if you stop and think about it, the state is the one licensing all of these agencies that are coming after you. They're all licensed by the state. They're licensed by the state. They're paid by the state. The judges paid by the state and licensed by the state. Hey, welcome, Ken. That's exactly what they're doing in California. And then the state buys these properties, steals these properties, and then turn them into Airbnbs and fancy places while the people are living on the street. It's really bad in California. I watched that on YouTube. I felt bad. It's really bad in California. I'm sure it's bad other places too, but it's really bad. So that's something to think about. And, he was telling me about this. And while he was telling me about this, things was going off in my head. I'm like, you know what? That makes a whole lot of sense. And that also makes a lot of sense at why these alleged lenders that are put on the paperwork have really long names, long ass names. Come on now. You don't see that on the wall nowhere or on front of the bank nowhere. It's just these long ass names on the computer. And that makes a whole lot of sense. So your goal is to force them to visualize their shared liability. And you do that by, especially on a state court level, suing the judge, suing whoever is, And when you get to federal court, and I had one of our paralegals that's in my program, we were talking. And so when you get to federal court, if you're the plaintiff and the judge throws you under the bus, you have the same rights to go after the judge as you do if you were defendant. and the judge throwing you under the bus. So you should keep that in mind. If the judge don't rule right, I'd object, file for reconsideration, and then recuse the judge and have him bring another one. No, have him bring another one. Lori, the statutes that you're talking about are not valid laws because they don't have the necessary elements to be considered a valid law. They don't have acting clauses, enacting clauses, they don't have titles, and they don't have bodies. So they do not have the necessary elements to be a valid law. So you can argue these statutes yourself, but I'm not going to spend any time on them because they're worthless. And if you operate inside their conventional program, you're doomed. So I'm just throwing it out there. The statutes are not a valid law. You don't have to follow them. They're in contrast to the Constitution. I could go on, but I won't. Now, the attorneys whined when their pleadings are, the attorneys whine all the time about what we're doing, but their fraudulent pleadings and processes are robbing you of your right to due process. And that's what we are attacking here. And this is the reason why I don't have to hear all of the things that make your case unique and special and all of that stuff, because you're going to be going after the process. Everybody's going through the same process. It's the same process that's screwing everybody over. Now, the removal package I'm going to have on sale for $125. I think I have 4 documents in it. I don't have it pulled up right now, so but I don't have it on my website. So I'm going to leave a link. I'm going to leave a link that you guys can use. It's my payment website. If you're interested in the removal package, you can go to my payment website and you can make a payment there. And then I'll see your email address or whatever, and you just let me know what the payment's for. You have a little thing there you can write. You can write in there what you're paying for, and then I'll email it over to you. I don't have it on my website yet because I just don't have time and have some other stuff that's more important that we're working on right now. So here is a link to my payment website. So if you're interested in that, you can go there. And so that's all I have for you guys tonight. I'm going to do a series of videos on keeping up with updates on what's going on in my sister's case. So, and those videos will be posted in the Move Your Case, State Case to Federal Court playlist. So keep that in mind. And if you click the bell, then you'll get notification when I upload the new video. So you guys, I will see you in the next video.